folks? Welcome back. My name's Alex. This is Nostalgianomics. This is a hard video to make. You're probably going to want to watch this one twice, save it for later, because you're not going to see many videos like this from me on this channel. As you guys know, I can always find an ounce of optimism in a sea of pessimists. I can always pull out the positive when everyone else is negative. However, we've reached a point where it's hard to tell people that there are any obvious plays left on this market. And there are very little, in my opinion, positively geared risk to reward ratio plays on this market. And I'm going to explain to you what I mean, but I have so many people always reach out and ask the same question. You guys all know what it is. Alex, I've got this amount of money, this amount of capital I put aside every 2 weeks or every month with my paychecks to spend on Pokemon. Where do you think I should put it right now? And honestly, I always have pretty good answers to those questions because up until now, there's always been, in my opinion, undervalued sets or cards or boxes on the market. And there's always been, margins to be made that looked pretty easy, pretty low risk, high reward, whatever it may be. But we found ourselves in a time where there are so many buyers compared to so few sellers. And we have such an enormous amount of inventory leaving the market with very small amounts of inventory being added to the market. And that's both the fault of Pokemon itself by just not having enough product out there. And also, obviously, everyone that feels the market's so strong, they don't want to list the product they do have, which creates the issues that we have now with literally everything moving up. And what I mean by everything is there is not a set in Scarlet Violet Era that is under $120. Not one. Scarlet Violet base is $125, guys. Go check TCG Player right now. Stellar Crown, pushing the 130s. Obsidian Flames, restocks, reprints, whatever you want to call them, didn't phase it. Right back in the high 120s, low 130s. Everyone thought Paldea was going to get crushed with these restocks that come out, mid 140s. Surging Sparks, no matter how many stores want to blow out their supply, it's still pushing 210, 215. And there's just strength across the board. And then what happens is people say, yeah, you know what? All the obvious plays here are gone. Let's go back to Sword and Shield. And they go back to Sword and Shield and they buy out Silver Tempest on Pokemon Center, which has been sitting there for months and months and no one wanted it. Now all of a sudden everybody wants it in a few days. So that's pushed up to the 180s and Astral Radiance is running to 180s. Brilliant Stars is over 200. Fusion Strike 300. Evolving Skies 1,000. Where does it end? Even sets like Darkness Ablaze and Vivid Voltage are seeing 10, 15, 20% price moves in the last few months. And everyone is just simultaneously trying to grasp any and every opportunity that's still left out there. Any obvious play that seems like there's still a little meat on the bone and there's still some run left in it in the near-term future. And honestly, the only set I can really see on the market that screams right now is Shrouded Fable. And sorry to bring some optimism in this pessimistic video. I'm sorry, I always do that. But Shrouded Fable seems to be the least risky play out there right now. It's like $30 in ETB, less sometimes if you buy it by the case. Very likely you're going to lose very often on that. Very, very likely it's going to rise at least to 40, 45, 50 in ETB in the future. And you're probably going to make 50, 75% of your money pretty easily. So Shrouded Fable is probably the one set, it's got some pretty valuable cards, a lot of cards over $20. That's probably the only set that I could even tell people right now is, hey, seems like a pretty good buy. Everything else, all I'm saying to people is, look, full market price doesn't look pretty. If you can find deals on independent LGS websites, if you can find deals on a Facebook or an Instagram or a Discord, maybe you have people reaching out to you wanting to sell their collections at 80, 85%, all of those are great. Great buying opportunities. Take advantage of it because, again, I don't think we're in a bubble right now. I don't think we're going to pop this big bubble and everything's going to drop, right? I do think things are going to continue to run. I think a lot of these Scarlet Violet era sets that are 120, 130 are likely going to be 140, 150 before we know it. I think a lot of the Sword and Shield era sets that are in the 180s are probably going to be 200 plus. I think a lot of the ones in the low 200s like Brilliant and Chilling are probably going to be in the mid to higher 200s. I think Fusion Strike's going to keep running. I think Evolving Skies is going to keep running. I think even the earlier Sword and Shield sets are going to see some movement. So it's not that I don't believe in the market or I don't think these sets are going to continue to appreciate, but the issue is when the time comes, and I assure you, the time will come. No one knows when, No one knows how much the sets will rise before that time. There will come a time when the confidence does fall, and there will be more and more sellers start to outpace the buyers, and more inventory will start to enter the market than is being taken away from the market through sales. And that is the time where you'll start to see the prices stagnate. You might even see price competition happen, and you'll see ever so slightly the prices start to, dip by a few dollars here and there because people are trying to move their items. And they'll still sell, it'll still be strong, but you'll definitely see people not make money anymore immediately. When that happens, you'll likely start seeing some price drops. And that's the only thing I'm worried about, is people that have more of a shorter term mindset and they're getting too used to this hobby the way it is right now. And they're buying things that, they're hoping in 1 to 2 years they're going to be able to turn a profit on. And so they're buying boxes at 120, 130 in Scarlet Violet era. And, they may run up to 140, 150, 160. But what if they drop back down to the 150, 140? And then you can't even sell them after shipping and fees for a profit anymore. Now you're going to be underwater after selling your product. And these are the times when people start to get very distasteful of the hobby and think this is all a big pump and dump scam, and there's not any real money to be made. People really get conscious of the shipping and fees or taxes, and you start hearing a lot of that talk. And the reality is they just haven't given it enough time, or they got into the market at a poor timing and all these things. I mean, I understand there's a lot of new people in the hobby, but a lot of you were here, and I know you were here, and you've been watching my channel and other channels for 6, 9, 12 plus months. And you were laughing at people for buying Scarlet Violet base set last year for $450 a case. That's $75 a box. And you were laughing at me, and I have the comments to prove it. I have the Discord messages to prove it. Don't you lie to me. You were laughing at me for buying Paldea Evolved 9, 10, 11, 12 months ago for $80, $85 a box. And the cases were, $520, $540 a case. You guys remember. And there's so many sets like that. Nobody wanted the 151 UPCs when they were in Costco, sitting there, not selling. Literally, 4, 6, 8 months ago now. Can't even remember. Nobody wanted them. Could have gone on Costco's website, bought them right off the website. Didn't want them. And there's so many stories of that. I mean, Silver Tempest. Now everybody wants it. It sat on Pokemon Center. It was the laughing stock of the Sword and Shield era. It was sitting on Pokemon Center for years. Nobody wanted it. Now all of a sudden, it blows up and everybody wants it again? Why weren't you buying it when nobody wanted it? Why didn't you buy all these Sword and Shield sets within the last year when they were half their price? You didn't want them then. Now you want them because other people want them. That's the problem. You need to stop wanting things when other people want them. You need to start wanting things when nobody wants them. Like Shrouded Fable right now. Not saying it's going to be a great play, but that's the kind of thing you want to look for. Nobody wants it. It's sitting there. That's where you want to buy things. Paradox Rift. Nobody wanted it. Distributors are running sales at $86 a box, urging people to take the supply off their hands. Nobody wanted it. Trust me, I'm in a distribution program with Eli Pokemart USA. It's got hundreds of people in there. Cool thing about it, it has this master tracking sheet where you can see, it's almost like a blockchain. You can see who bought what at any given day. And you can scroll back as far as you want, and you can see what everyone in that program is buying on a day-to-day basis. Nobody was buying Paradox Rift. Nobody. And now Paradox Rift is $125 going to $130 a box, and now people want it. Now people are scrambling trying to find it. Where were you when it was $85, $90, $95 everywhere in the open market? Where were you? And that's the issue, guys. Because then what happens is you start chasing things on the way up, right? The rocket's to the moon. You're trying to grab a rope to pull yourself up to the rocket. The ship's already leaving harbor. You're trying to swim after it. And you feel like you caught it. You caught it up to it. You got up to it. And you're paying, $120, $130 a box. You finally got in. What if it runs up to $140, $150, $160? Maybe it has a restock, reprint. Maybe it just has a market downturn. It drops back to $140. Now you've been in it for a year and a half. You're like, what the heck? If I sell now with shipping and fees and all this, I'm not going to make any money. What the hell am I doing? This hobby sucks. Well, it sucks when you approach it the way you're approaching it. It doesn't suck when you buy things at release or at a time when nobody wants them and you hold them for a period of time. That's when you see those 30, 40, 50+% gains very quickly. And so nothing's changed. The hobby hasn't changed. The market hasn't changed. We're just in a cycle right now where nothing is truly undervalued, in my opinion, anymore. Everything seems pretty properly valued. Maybe you could argue some things are overvalued, but everything's kind of become valued the way it should have been from the beginning. And because of this, it doesn't mean you can't put your capital to work. It just means there's nothing I can tell you that's super obvious. It doesn't mean you can't make money. It doesn't mean it's not going to appreciate. It doesn't mean none of these are good long-term holdings. It's just, it's not as easy as it was before. And so one thing that is very unpopular that I talked about in a recent video is maybe a good time to hold some cash. Maybe a good time to wait for opportunities that come along. I know people are holding cash right now. They're waiting for possibly after the holidays when the euphoria comes down, right? And people aren't in this high anymore, and all the bills and credit card bills start coming due in January. They might, start to realize maybe I bit off more than I can chew. Maybe I need to dump some of this stuff. And you might be able to take advantage of other people's stupidity in January and buy some stuff at very good discounts from the market. That could be a thing to do. You could wait for these new products that are going to get released in January and February and try to buy some of those at, market or under market or whatever price you want to buy it at, and take advantage of those sales. Take advantage of any reprints or restocks that come about next year and jump on those, and don't wait, right? Don't do I'm going to wait. It's become a meme on this channel. Hashtag I'm going to wait, because that's the other mistake I see people make is they have like these Vietnam War style like shell shock flashbacks of like Chilling Reign or Battle Styles or Fusion Strike. And every time they hear the word reprint or restock, that switch goes off in their brain. They're like, no, not again, a reprint. It's all going to go to $80 and sit there for months on end. And they get terrified to buy when things get reprinted. Don't be that way, guys. Not every reprint is that kind of reprint. And so if you see things get reprinted or restocked and the price dips like it did on Paldea Evolve, did into the 120s, freaking buy it. That is a screaming opportunity. It's not going to drop to $80. So wait for an opportunity, but when it comes, don't do the I'm going to wait thing. Put your capital to work when things do drop 10, 15, 20%. If they do that on the market, it's not going to drop 50%, right? We're not going to have this huge washout. So take advantage of those things when they come and just have cash on the sidelines for anything like that. Maybe people want to sell out their collections to you. You can buy those, whatever it may be. But I just don't think right now in the market, there's very many obvious plays that are going to send you to the moon overnight. That's going to be a good quick flip. That's going to be a quick gain. I think there's pretty much every set is at a good value. And I think you can make money on every single set in the long term. But you got to have a long-term mindset. You got to be okay with things possibly coming down in price, possibly being, down on your money when you calculate shipping and fees in for a period of time. You got to get more realistic about this hobby. It's not this big, giant, free money, big, casino, pull the slot machine and everything comes up all sevens. It's not that. This hobby's always operated with a long-term focus, and over time, as the restocks and reprints stop coming and the product dries up and becomes more scarce and people want to collect it and want to open it, it drives the price up because there's less supply than there is the amount of demand. That's how sealed products always worked. It's not this crazy like, oh, right when a set's released like Surging Sparks, I can immediately double my money, or Prismatic Evolutions, I can pre-order things for 2-3 times MSRP. That's not what this hobby is, and it's maybe like that right now. I don't know how long it's going to last like that, but it's not always going to be that way. And you're going to have to go back to those more tried and true methods, and it's going to get a lot more boring. And the problem is investing is boring, and those are usually times when a lot of people leave the hobby and don't want to buy things, and they come back in these kind of times, and they buy in way too high. And, it's not that they can't do well. It's just they're not going to see those quick gains they're, maybe used to or people have told them about. And so, if you're looking for plays out there, there's tons of singles that are, going through the roof, and tons of more single plays that are out there. Look for some of these SIRs or IRs that seem very undervalued that people may come back and start to show some love to. Now the sets are starting to become more expensive. Maybe the cards will move too. We just seen it with the Crown Zenith Pikachu going from like $8 to $20. Obviously, a lot of the alt arts are moving. We've seen it come back with the Mew and the Charizard from Paladin Fates starting to go on another run after everyone realized Paladin Fates is a great set. And it'll continue to happen with all these other sets as people just continuously dig into this hobby and try to find any and every play they can because they're disappearing quicker than they can get their hands on them. And so, although this video is more of, I guess negatively or more pessimistically geared towards like plays, I'm still positive overall, guys. I mean, as you can see, I still got everything, right? I'm not fire selling, dumping anything. I still believe in this stuff. I still think it's going to keep going. But at the same time, I'm not logging on TCG Player right now and paying, $120, $130, $140 full price for any of these boxes. I'm keeping the ones I have, and I'm not buying more at those prices. People reach out to me and say, Alex, I want to sell my collection to you at 80, 85%. I'll keep buying more for sure. But just be careful at the price point you're buying in. And if you do buy into these price points, have an honest understanding of your time frame, okay? And if you're the kind of person that gets bored of things easily, or you're going to try to look at prices every single day or every month, and you're going to worry about what the market's doing this month, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, there might come a time where, after shipping and fees and tax or whatever, you might be down on your investment. And you might, not have these quick, money you can make. And you might actually, if you wanted to sell out in 6 months, a year, there might come a time where, hey, after everything's said and done, you might actually be down money and this is all a big waste of time for you. I don't know. Now, I truly believe in 5 years, you're not going to feel that way. But not everyone has 5 years. So that's the video for today, guys. I hope it helped. Nope, I don't have any honey hole type, plays for you that you can go and take advantage of and make millions of dollars. But there's opportunities out there. Just don't get overzealous. It's okay to hold cash if you don't know what to buy. There's always another play. There is always another play. Every single month, there will be another play, whether it be a new set, a reprint, a restock, something dropping in value, whatever it may be. And so don't be afraid to not buy if you don't feel confident in anything. And keep doing well in this hobby. Subscribe if you're not. Be back here in a new one soon. I'm out.